Hey, this is the BJJ for Life podcast where I teach you how to train for life on the mats. So today I'm going to go over the 5 major mistakes people use when it comes to getting strong for the mats and staying healthy for the mats. So number one is going to be people underestimate the foundation, like how important just having a foundational level of physicality or like physical fitness is. And sometimes you'll hear this all the time. You don't need to do this because jiu-jitsu is going to give you specific strength, specific speed, all this stuff. And there's a ton of truth to that. But I think what's really kind of missing um, from this point is that a lot of times you could come in with a base level of fitness and you can just do that and you'll probably be fine. You probably won't get hurt as much. You'll progress at a decent clip and it will be fine. But if you're not coming from that background, all right, if you do not have a base already, I think jiu-jitsu is going to develop those things extremely slow, or it's not going to, or you're not going to last because you're going to be constantly hurt. You're going to be like gassing out all the time. Basically, if you don't have this level of fitness, jujitsu isn't that much fun because it's not fun to constantly get hurt. It's not fun if you're like feeling like you're gonna throw up in between each round. So if you come from a base because you know how it is. Some people are just more athletic. Some people are just natural athletes. They naturally are stronger, have more muscle, have better endurance, or maybe they just have a base. Maybe they played like a sport. Um, and they have like a base. Maybe they played football in high school, or they're a wrestler in high school, or even just like baseball, or maybe they got into lifting weights when they're early and they've always lifted weights. These people probably aren't going to see such a dramatic change in their jiu-jitsu if they start a strength and conditioning program because they already have a base. But if you don't have a base, not only is it going to be a huge liability when you start doing jiu-jitsu, because you'll probably deal with more injuries. You're going to probably learn a lot slower. Your recovery is going to be a lot poorer. These are the people that's going to see a huge change in the jiu-jitsu game. You'll actually improve your jiu-jitsu by improving your strength and conditioning. All right, and this is why, and you'll hear this with coaches like a lot, is like people who are younger, more athletic, they progress faster versus someone who's like in their 40s, 50s, and they have 3 kids, they have a wife, they're trying to pay the mortgage, and they spend most of their day behind the desk. Those people are going to learn slower because they don't have that physical ability. So building a foundation is super important. I don't think it. I think many people overlook it. And then sometimes, and I'm going to go over this later, is like you don't need to do. And the thing with this is people will be like, I'd rather spend my time on the mat. And I agree. I'd rather be on the mat too. There's nothing more like I like jiu-jitsu more than I like strength training. Um, but if you need to build the foundation, it's really important to last in the sport. And then the thing with like I'm a trainer, so I'm biased, right? But I just think everyone should be strength trained because it's so important for your health and your in longevity and the quality of your life. Um, so make sure you don't ignore foundation. So when I say foundation, we don't have to be a power lifter or bodybuilder, but we should just build a foundational level of strength. So you should be able to move through the basic movement patterns. Like you should be able to squat decent, do a hip hinge, like a deadlift, be able to do a decent push up, be able to do a decent row, be able to do a lunge. If you can't do those things, you don't have a high quality of fitness, and you should be able to move. For an extended period of time without feeling gassed. Right. So if you go up the stairs and you're out of breath, you could probably use some basic foundational stuff like, just like real, like honestly, like it seems super easy, but even doing like 10,000 steps a day, or can you walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes without being destroyed, or can you go on a bike for 30 minutes and maintain like a decent heart rate without feeling out of breath? These things are important, and I think you should develop them if you don't already have them. So number two is um, picking a program that's not for BJJ. Now, plenty of people do bodybuilding programs, powerlifting programs, different strength programs, and they do jujitsu, and they do fine. So it's not an always thing, but I I think you when you follow a program, I'm a personal trainer, so if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I have this goal, but then they also mention that they do this. So say someone's like, I don't know, say so someone's a marathon runner and then they're like, okay, I want to start strength training with you, like say 2 or 3 days a week. I have to take that into consideration. The problem with just doing a program is they're not going to take that into consideration. The whole program is designed with the assumption that that's the only like physical workout stress that you're going to probably do in your program. So the volume, the sets, the intensity might be too high, especially if you're someone who trains like a lot. So if you're doing like a program like a say you're doing upper lower upper low upper lower upper low can't even say it upper lower say you're doing that program, it's not going to take consideration that you're on the mat 5 days a week and that you're rolling hard and that you have maybe these injuries. So I think picking a program that's more jiu-jitsu based is important. Or if you do pick a program, I think it's important to you might have to adjust the volume and the intensity. So say something calls for like 5 sets of 8, you might want to start doing like 2 sets of 8 and then see how you feel. Because again, the volume and the intensity might be too high and you're not going to recover both. And that's the reason I think sometimes why people struggle with both strength training and jiu-jitsu is because they're doing these programs and doing too much work in the weight room. And when you are doing jiu-jitsu, a little strength training goes a long way. Number three, picking the wrong exercises. All right, I think this is a big one, especially if you're an older guy. You like with jiu-jitsu, you probably have like injuries. Maybe your back, lower back hurts. Maybe you have knee problems, ankle problems, shoulder and elbow problems are super common with guys and super common with guys who do jujitsu. And sometimes we try to fit ourselves in this hole, or maybe we're trying to do exercises that we've been doing for 20 years, the bench press, the back squat, and all these things aren't. I'm not saying that bad exercises. I still do them from time to time, but we should pick the exercises that are best um for our fitness level and any limitations we have. So, for example, if you do a back squat, to do a back squat properly, you need to put it on your back, obviously, and you need to be able to have the shoulder mobility to go here and pull it down. If you're like this and you're crunched up, that's going and a lot of times when you do this, you also arch the lower back. That's going to destroy you. It's not a good squat variation. So you guys hear that? That's just my dog in the background annoying the shit out of me. Um, so you might be better off starting with a goblet squat, especially if I'm squatting. Yeah, start with a goblet squat. Get your squat pattern good. Get strong at that. Then start adding harder variations. Same thing with presses. Like bench presses can be a great exercise, but if you don't have the best shoulder and best neck, it kind of locks you into this position, right? And it's very unforgiving versus like I like dumbbell presses a lot because bench press seems to hurt the bottom of my neck. So, and the good thing about dumbbell presses, you can really find like the proper shoulder angle that feels best. And sometimes this is better because everyone's shoulder anatomy, like where the ball fits into the socket, can be incredibly different. So make sure you pick the proper exercises. We all want to do some type of squat, do some type of hip hinge, some type of push exercise, some type of pull exercise, and some type of single leg exercise. But within that range, we need to find what we can do pain free so we can train it well, so we can build great movement, and then load that so we can get really strong at that movement so that we can build muscle, build strength, and build a body that doesn't get so hurt so easily. All right, so this one is a huge one. It's called you want to, when you go into the gym, you want to stimulate and not annihilate. And this is really important. Luna, shh. This is really important for everyone, but especially with jiu-jitsu because again, if you're going to strength train and then you're going to do jiu-jitsu like 3 or 5 times a week, you have to you have to get you have to you have to be able to last. So if every workout is like a 9 in the weight room and then you're rolling at a 9, you're going to get burnt out. You can get injured real quick. So you need to start, and sometimes this is hard because when we first get into weightlifting, if you've been weightlifting for a long time, you might be like, oh, I gotta go hard. Every set is I have to go at failure. But if you do that, you're gonna burn yourself out. So it's super important to be okay. I need to create a stimulus here so that my body will change and adapt, and I don't really have to destroy every workout. Now you will have hot workouts that maybe you can do that, intense workouts versus lower intense workouts, but I think it's really important to do that, to have that difference. Um, so like example of this would be like usually what this means is that you're going to not go crazy with the volume and the intensity. So volume is usually how many sets or usually how many sets. I think that's the best way to go about that. So you don't need a ton of sets to get strong, build some muscle. Um, and as far as intensity, you don't have to take a reset to close to failure. And we know that as long as we take our sets with between like 4 to 1 reps close to failure. So what that means is like if I can do 225 with a squat and say the most reps I can get would be 10 reps, right? Right. If I if I'm doing like 3 reps in reserve, I would be doing 7 reps. All right. So we can strength train, leave 3 or 4 reps left in the tank, and still get results. And the way I like to do this is I like to fluctuate it. So I do this with all my clients, even my general population clients. It's like the first week of the program, we're just trying to learn the exercises. I don't care about going super heavy. And then each week we're going to pick up the intensity. So what that might mean is that week 1 we might leave like 3 or 4 reps left in the tank. Then week 2 we're trying to leave less reps, so maybe like 2 or 3. And week 3 we might leave like again maybe 2 or 3 or 1 to 2. And then the last week, that's really where, if it's necessary and appropriate, that's where I might really try to push people and really try to maybe go into failure, or maybe going close to 1 rep in the tank. But it's important that you're not going crazy every session. And something else to think about along these lines is that you need to auto-regulate. And what that means is like, how are you feeling that particular day? Because some weeks you're going to feel great, your rolls are going to be awesome, you're going to feel real strong in the weight room, and other weeks you're not going to feel like that. You're going to feel like your jiu-jitsu sucks. You're going to feel more tired, more exhausted. You're going to feel weaker in the weight room. You're going to feel like you don't want to do the weights. So it's important to, first of all, not skip the weights, but you can go in there and just leave more reps left in the tank. So just go through the ranges of motion. Luna, quiet. You can just go through the range of motion and leave 3 or 4 reps of the tank, and you're going to get a lot of benefits from still moving your body, getting blood flowing in those joints, and you're going to get some strength benefits as well. So the last thing I want to talk about is don't be fooled by BJJ gimmicks. So like I've been seeing these things, and the thing is, like, you'll look at someone who's in great shape, you'll look at someone who's maybe a world champion, and they'll do these things, and you'll be like, oh, this is great. This is a great thing to do. So a couple things I saw this week is like someone's basically holding a weight plate and they're doing shrimps, or they're doing bridges with that, or they're doing like tactical steps, and like this is a jiu-jitsu workout when that's a really awful workout. Or these, like, I've been seeing a lot of BJJ hip workouts where they're doing all these kind of moves that kind of look like they were transformed into jiu-jitsu, and they go and like, you're like, hey, do this for 30 seconds, then take 15 seconds off, do this 3 times, and really it's not really doing anything. It's just getting you tired. Now, I'm a, like, especially when I was a white belt, blue belt, I think doing extra jujitsu movements, such as really practicing. I did a lot during COVID, doing shrimps, doing sit-ups, doing bridges. I don't know what this move is called, but it's like when you bridge and then you like tuck the leg underneath, so you end up on all fours. I think doing bodyweight stuff that is great, but that's not strength and condition. That's not going to get you stronger and improve your performance. That is kind of an extension of jiu-jitsu, right? And like the more I was able to train jiu-jitsu, the less like I needed that. Um, and so I just think those things are kind of a waste of time. If you're going to improve your strength and condition for jiu-jitsu so that you're more durable, that you improve your performance, you have a better gas tank, I think you're better off training jiu-jitsu as much as you can and making sure that you at least fit two strength sessions into your work like every week. And I think those are a waste of time. And I think they look cool, and they look fancy and cool on Instagram, but at the end of the day, they're not really doing what you think they're doing. And like I said, you're better off training jiu-jitsu as much as you can, learning um learning actual techniques, and then strength training. And that's going to take you really far. Like, honestly, like if you just twice a week, 3 times, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you go into the gym, you do something explosive, you do a heavy lower body exercise, you do a heavy upper, like press or a push up, you do like a heavy pull, like a chin up or a row, and you do that for a long period of time, like your jiu-jitsu performance is going to go through the roof, your durability is going to go through the roof. And that's honestly, that's all you really need. People really like to complicate these things. And this may be an extension because maybe jiu-jitsu people aren't necessarily people that like to lift weights. Um, and they want to find all these fancy and cool ways to improve their strength and condition without picking up a dumbbell. But that is what really works. And if we look at any other sport like football, basketball, they're not doing like kettlebell flows, or not throwing maces around. They're doing the basic stuff, right? They're sprinting, they're doing plyometrics, they're doing medicine ball throws, they're doing squats, they're doing lunges, they're doing heavy presses, rows, push-ups, all this stuff. So it's just super important. Before I get sorry about the dog today. Before I get out here, so a few things. Um, If you're looking for coaching, I'm going to put a link in there. You can sign up for my coaching. You can actually sign up on the page. But if you have any specific questions, I am going to add a contact form today, just so we can talk one on one if you want to. Um, if you're looking for more tips on how to improve your strength and conditioning for jiu-jitsu, I'm going to put a link to my 7 ways to improve your jiu-jitsu. This is just a quick email series where I email you every day for 7 days and give you something actionable that you can do so you can improve your strength and conditioning so that you can be more durable on the mat, you can have better conditioning, and you can have more fun on the mat, basically.